Growing up wasn't easy. He knew no one would hand him the tools to survive. Orphaned as a child, the Breton had practiced with his natural talent in magic to overcome his hardships. Conjuring daggers and hardening his skin helped him do things such as hunt and defend himself against attacks, though he didn't intentionally look for fights. In his teen years, he had traveled the majority of High Rock, moving from place to place and earning coin as he could. He made coin by doing odd jobs, hunting, a bit of mercenary work, and was even known to help the occasional downtrodden soul. One day he had come across a group of bandits who wanted a fee for crossing their path. Not his first skirmish with bandits, but 3 was the most he had ever fought at once. He had worked hard for his coin and wasn't about to hand it over easily, even against 6 men that preyed upon the weak. After telling them in a very rough manner no, the first of the bandits lunged toward him, dagger in hand. While dodging, the Breton conjured a sword and armor and immobilized the first of his assailants. The rest of the bandits let out a small battle cry and tried to surround him. Running towards another bandit, he conjured a second sword, twirling his blades as if they were possessed, cutting down his next target. His attackers knew now that they weren't dealing with an ordinary merchant or traveler and became leery of advancing. Surely the 4 left standing could overpower 1 man. With a quick glance at each other, they all ran towards him. He stood ready, waiting like a viper hidden in the grasses, ready to strike. Just paces in front of him, he raced forwards, going into a slide between the 4 bandits, knocking 2 to the ground and flipping over them to deal a final blow. In doing so, he had gained enough traction to dart forward, catching his next attacker, axe in mid-swing, and repelled the blow. Stunned for a brief moment, the Breton went in for the kill. The last of the bandits, horrified that his friends were all slain, threw down his arms and begged for mercy. 2 Red Guard mercenaries had seen the start of the fight and had hidden themselves just up the road so they could watch the Breton work unhindered. Once the fight was over, they started towards this amazing fighter to voice how impressed they were. "Who taught you how to fight like this?" one of them had asked. "I taught myself," he replied. Astonished, the Red Guards asked him to join them in traveling, saying that 3 swords are better than 2, and that they'd offer him an equal share of their earnings in their mercenary work. Agreeing, they set off to the next destination. Along their travels, the Breton was told many stories of the Alakir, the homeland in Hammerfell, and of the sword singers, which intrigued him the most. He asked many questions about the sword singers and about their lost art. Soon after he had as many answers as he could, he set out on a personal quest to learn the lost art of the sword singers. After many years of searching and finding as much as he could about the sword singers, and training with as many of the best warriors in Hammerfell he could find, he had become a great swordsman. Now all that was really left to him was to hone his magic. Even down in Hammerfell he had heard of the mages of the College of Winterhold. There wasn't much of a real goal in his life other than to survive and make a living, even though he was proud of the man he had become thus far. But it was now clear he wanted to better his skill, and it seemed the stars themselves put him on this path. With this goal in mind, and his pathway lit, he set for the land of Skyrim. The Spellsword is a warrior through and through. Every action, every movement, every thought is driven by the desire to be stronger, faster, better than he was before. He is driven by this personal code more than any morality. As such, nearly any quest or job is open to him, though he will not cross the line toward the monstrous or evil. However, growing up an orphan has left him with a soft spot for children who have lost everything. He will use Hearthfire to this end to establish an orphanage that he will support. The mission to defeat Alduin and then Miraak will be his primary tasks, as they are the greatest feats he can achieve in the harsh land of the Nords. However, as stated before, very few doors are closed to him, but one such is the Dark Brotherhood, though he will do the initial quest to help Aventus Argentino. If you choose to become involved in the Civil War, the faction of choice will be entirely up to you. He will join the Companions, however, he will either choose not to become a member of the Inner Circle, or if you choose to do so, he will inevitably pursue a cure for lycanthropy, seeing it as a corruption of his body. The same stance towards lycanthropy will echo into the Dawnguard DLC, and he will side with the Dawnguard against the Vampire Menace. Though not greedy, he will become a member of the Thieves Guild to further his training and skill. Likewise, his first true choice of faction will be to join the College of Winterhold to further his magical prowess, as he has already spent most of his life training his physical prowess, even though he will utilize very few spells. It is the knowledge and ability that honing his magic will grant him that drives this choice. Finally, he holds no ill will towards the Daedric princes, and is free to pursue any of their quests, particularly for Azura's Star, though he will shy away from assisting Namira or Molag Bal, seeing their methods as needless and inhuman brutality. The Spellsword is a master of the body well suited for nearly any type of battle aside from blatant magical force. However, more often than not, he will choose to face his enemies head-on without secrecy to fully test himself against foes at the peak of their ability. In battle, he will use flesh spells to strengthen his defenses, then conjure dual-wielded bound swords, his preferred weapon, and attack head-on in mortal melee combat. When space is needed to heal or regroup, he will use unrelenting force to send enemies flying, and when the stakes are high and more power is needed, he will use Dragon Aspect to surpass his limits and march for death to weaken his foes. Be careful not to overexert yourself by cranking up your difficulty too soon, as the frequent casting of Bound Sword means you will level quickly, but so will your enemies. This quick leveling is, however, useful end-game, as the speedy growth of Conjuration and the low requirements for Bound Sword make it a good choice to Legendary. While normally you wouldn't want to Legendary your primary attack tree, again, the fast leveling of this skill means you can build back the perks you need rather quickly. However, this choice is entirely yours to make. As a Breton, the Spellsword will receive plus 10 to Conjuration, giving you quick and cheap access to his primary weapons early on, as well as plus 5 to Restoration, Alteration, Illusion, Alchemy, and Speech, the most important of which will be the boosts to Alteration and Restoration for your flesh spells and healing. He will also receive 25% resistance to Magicka, which, combined with the choice of perks and Guardian Stones, makes him very formidable against spellcasting enemies and even Dragonfire. Combine this again with the Racial Power Dragon Skin, which allows you to absorb 50% of Magicka from spells cast at you, means you will rarely, if ever, have to worry about the Magicka you need to summon your sword, cast your defensive spells, or heal. For selection of Guardian Stones, if you so choose, you can use the Mage Stone at early levels to further your already fast leveling, but long run you will be using the Ethereal Crown and selecting both the Lord Stone and the Atronach Stone, providing you with an additional plus 50 to armor rating, plus 25% magic resistance, plus 50 to Magicka, and an additional 50% spell absorption. Your Magicka will recharge at a 50% slower rate. However, your low initial magic cost combined with your spell absorption will make this effect nearly unnoticeable. The Spellsword stat spread will be 50% health, 30% stamina, and 20% Magicka. His primary skills will be one-handed, Conjuration, and Alteration, with Enchanting and Restoration as secondary skills. For gear, you will use the Ethereal Crown as your only required equipment piece. Your choice of any non-armored clothing will be used for the chest, gloves, boots, and jewelry. This will all be self-enchanted. My personal recommendations for aesthetic are the Adept robes of Alteration, or any non-enchanted or stronger college robes, fine boots, and hand wraps from a mod that I will link down below. How you manage your enchantment placing is up to you. However, the following enchantments are the most important in the following order: Fortify One-Handed, Fortify Alteration, Fortify Stamina Regen, Fortify Health, Fortify Magicka. Fortify One-Handed is your most important enchantment, and you'll want to place it on every gear piece possible, as the bound swords cannot be upgraded through blacksmithing. Thus, your one-handed skill is imperative in increasing your overall damage. Your favorited spells will be Bound Sword, Grand Healing, and Ebony Flesh. Favorited shouts will be Dragon Aspect, Dragon Rend, Mark for Death, and Unrelenting Force. For the Black Books, you will take the following: Dragonborn Force, Secret of Strength, Mora's Boon, Seeker of Might, and Companion's Insight. In One-Handed, you will take 5 points of Armsman, making one-handed weapons deal 100% more damage. Fighting Stance to decrease the stamina cost of power attacks by 20%. Savage Strike, increasing the strength of your power attacks by 25% with a chance to instantly decapitate enemies. Paralyzing Strike, causing your backwards power attacks to have a 25% chance to paralyze. 2 points of Dual Flurry, causing your dual-wielding attacks to be 35% faster, and Dual Savagery, making your dual-wielding power attacks do 50% more damage. In Conjuration, you will take Novice Conjuration, reducing the cost of novice spells by 50%, Mystic Binding, causing your bound weapons to deal more damage, Soul Stealer, making bound weapons cast Soul Trap on targets, and Oblivion Binding, causing your bound weapons to banish summoned creatures and turn raised ones. In Alteration, you will take Novice, Apprentice, Adept, and Expert Alteration, reducing the cost of associated spells by 50%. 3 points of Magic Resistance, blocking 30% of spell effects. Alteration Dual Casting, which will allow you to overcharge your Alteration spells, making them more powerful. 3 points of Mage Armor, making flesh spells 3 times stronger when not wearing armor. Stability, increasing the duration of your flesh spells. And Atronach, which will absorb 30% of magicka from spells cast upon you. In Restoration, you will take Novice, Apprentice, Adept, Expert, and Master Restoration, reducing the cost of associated spells by 50%. 2 points of Recovery, causing your magicka to regenerate 50% faster. Avoid Death, which once a day, if you fall below 10% of your health, will instantly heal you for 250 points. Regeneration, making your healing spells heal 50% more. And Respite, making healing spells also restore stamina. In Enchanting, you will take 5 points in Enchanter, causing your enchantments to be 100% stronger. Insightful Enchanter, causing skill enchantments on armor to be 25% stronger. Corpus Enchanter, making health, stamina, and magicka enchantments on armor 25% stronger. And Extra Effect, which will allow you to place 2 enchantments on any piece of equipment. For mods, the only important mod I recommend using is Alternate Start Live Another Life, from which you will select the option I am a new member of a guild, choosing the College of Winterhold. This will allow you to start the game at the College of Winterhold, not only starting its questline from the beginning, but also giving you access to the bound sword spells and flesh spells you will need from the very beginning of the game. Also, for personal preference, I use hand wraps, heavy, light, and unarmored, for the gloves I choose to use on my playthrough and in the video. Well, my friends, that concludes another Skyrim Special Edition build video here on MasterQuest Gaming. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, be sure to give us a like, comment down below on your impressions of the build or builds you would like to see in the future, and most importantly, subscribe and come back to watch more of our videos, because that's what we make them for, to be watched and stuff. Next time I return with another build will be with the Dark Lady, but be sure to go take a look at our last channel update and take the poll there to vote on the following build to make sure you have a chance to choose what you want to see in the future. Until next time, I'm Shadowlord Zero, the resident build creator and Resident Evil. See you all next time. Happy questing, everyone.